You legendary friends. I'm with Powerhouse Teddi Jutsen. How are you, Teddi?
I'm good, thanks, Ed. How are you?
I gotta say, Teddi, isn't it just such a beautiful day on the harbour?
It is absolutely stunning over here, Ed. I'm so glad that I came here to meet with you.
I'm glad that you agreed to it. So there you go. And Teddi, I'm just gonna say, you are a parent empowerment coach. You know so much about parenting. Tell us a little bit about you, awesome Teddi.
Well, I learned a lot about my own parenting journey. I was very alone in my first few years of parenting because my husband was very busy with work. He had to take on a few jobs because I quit mine. I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, but I learned so much as a stay-at-home mom. A lot of people, diminish the skills that we learn as stay-at-home moms, but we learn how to budget, we learn how to cook things from scratch, and there's so much that you can learn being a stay-at-home mom, especially with communicating with children and learning how children communicate what they want and what they don't want. So yeah, those are one of the basic things that I learned.
And I couldn't agree with you more. Like, I'm not a stay-at-home mum, but I do stay at home and look after the kids a lot. So I would say I'm a part-time stay-at-home dad. I'll say part-time, right? It's
you're
hard work.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're not alone in that. These days, a lot more dads are hands-on with their children, and I'm so pleased to see that because a lot more dads need to be involved in how to raise these kids because kids need their dad.
I couldn't agree with you more. And in fact, I actually had a bit of a stigma because I was brought up in I hate to say it, with a lot of sexist ideas, which I absolutely condemn and disavow on every level. And when I first started, it took me a few years to get hands-on with my kids. I found a bit of an internal barrier just from the toxic upbringing I've had.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, that is quite common because society has made us believe that men have certain responsibilities and it's a very masculine, and it's not masculine to see them looking after their children. In fact, when I was raising my first child, my mother came to live with us, and when David was helping me out, she would admonish me and say, "Why are you making your husband do all those?" And I said, "Well, I can't do everything, and he's happy enough to help."
So on that one, so you were being condemned for getting your husband to help with children.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So that it's an old thinking, but obviously now we have evolved as a society, and a lot more dads are recognizing the need to be more hands-on with their children. And I'd love for more men to, give me their perspective on what it's like to be a hands-on dad, because us women would like to learn from you as well. So that's why I'm holding all my parenting mastermind, and now I'm planning my first parenting retreat. So I'd love to have some of the dads there too.
Now I'm married to a wonderful lassie. I've got a 4-year-old and 2-year-old.
Yes, I've met them. They're adorable.
Now, throw it out there, not just aimed at me, but aimed at me and people like me. What are your top 3 parenting tips? Stuff that I probably don't know.
Okay, my top tip would be, when you're talking to your children, make sure they're looking at you and you're looking them in the eyes, because the communication with the eyes is much deeper than just your words. So that's one. And number 2, be affectionate. When your children come to hug you, when they call your name, look at them and touch them, and make them feel loved. Make sure that they know that you are paying attention and you're interested in what they have to say. Number 3, the thing that I valued the most when I was with my young children at the time was bedtime tuck-ins, because there's so many things that they reveal to you at bedtime. You can ask them all sorts of questions that you won't normally ask them during the day, and they would give you their most honest answer. So I always enjoyed doing the bedtime tuck-ins.
Oh wow, I absolutely love it. And quick one, this one's actually directly aimed at me. When your kids are doing the wrong thing and you get angry and frustrated, I try to bite my tongue. When your kids are being naughty, how do you handle that situation? Because there's so many different views. Should you hit them? Should you not hit them? Should you lock them in their rooms? When they're really being out of line, I've resorted to, sort of sending them to their rooms, right, as a form of, punishment, I guess.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this whole sensitive topic?
Well, I myself am guilty of yelling at my children on occasions when they were young.
Me too. Me too. So,
and it's not. It's not hard to fall into that trap because you have your own frustrations in your adult life, and sometimes the children just kind of get you at the wrong time, and you don't think about it, and you just blurt out. But now that I've grown up, and my children have all grown up, and thankfully they don't need therapy. But one thing I suggest is, rather than calling it a punishment, view it as an opportunity to educate your child. So communication is key for me at all times. Make sure the child understand what it is that is upsetting about the behavior, and not about them. Make it about the behavior rather than about them. So if you keep that in mind, I think it's going to be a better interaction with you and your child.
Absolutely incredible, Teddi. And I just want to give the final word and closing thoughts to you.
Okay, well, final word. As I said, communication is key. Keep the dialogue open with you and your child, up to, especially when they get to their teens, because once children get to their teens, they tend to clam up, and they tend to keep things to themselves because they're trying to discover who they are. They're transitioning from being a child to being an adult, and those teenage years are the most confusing time for children. So keep the communication lines open. When they don't want to talk to you, just let them know that you are still there to listen when they're ready. That's about it.